Do you like to sidestep, Sydney? Here's your spooky spot on the Spirit Halloween Scream Ghostface Sidestepper. Love a good scary movie? Make it clear when you get this officially licensed Ghostface Sidestepper. Watch as Ghostface comes to life and slashes his way through Halloween, terrifying your friends, family, and neighbors. For true horror fans, this decoration is a must-have. Everybody likes a good scream on Halloween, and if you are interested to get the Sidestepper Ghostface for yourself, it is available over on Spirit Halloween's site for $32.99, or if you're lucky enough to have a Spirit Halloween store in your area, they're more close to about the $45 price point. We're going to go ahead and grab the tape measure, and also in a second, I'll be bringing the other two Sidesteppers we've looked at before, and you can see the differences between the three. Ghostface, though, stands exactly 10 inches in height, or the Sidestepper is going to be about 26 centimeters tall. I seem to have some sick fascination with these things, having already looked at the earlier Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even earlier from that. We also had a look at Sam from Trick or Treat. Now, of course, all the figures are going to have the same build of bodies, even though they're wearing completely different clothing. The frames inside and the way they move are exactly the same to one another. What's also the same with the three is the way that they're powered. All three of them do require 3 AAA batteries, and if you order these online, the likelihood, though, that small little hands haven't been touching that button repeatedly are probably a lot better. If, though, you found these in stores, it's always best to probably check and make sure that the batteries are still working, but you can always easily then change the batteries. They're located on the bottoms of the feet. Let's go ahead and pick up Ghostface for a second. You can see that you have to unscrew 2 compartment plates. One battery's in this side, and then the other 2. Actually, one battery's in this side, 2 is then on the other. This side is also the thing that had the restraining plastic piece. I've already taken the liberty of removing that. But your on and off switch is actually located right over here. Once it's switched to on, as it is right now, all that's then required is just to press that button right here, the very obvious one that says press on and off, just in case. Now, when we had a look at Leatherface, funny enough, though, they actually had a little arrow there on his chainsaw, just to point in the direction of where you're supposed to press. Ghostface doesn't even have a very obvious arrow there on his knife. Instead, what he has is just a very sharp-looking knife that has blood all around it. I'm not really a fan of the fact the way they sculpted the blade. You can see like it's got sort of a very bold outer frame to it instead of actually just making the knife flat. I don't know why they had to sculpt it the way that they did. Why wouldn't they have just given him a flat knife? But either way, it's got blood though on one side. It's got just as much blood, even more so even on the other side. The only thing I really don't like, honestly, if I could be true about all this, is the fact that, like Ghostface, I think he has way too much blood splattered across his face. And it's not even just splattered either. It literally looks like he's got some head injury, some head wound, and he's trickling blood from the top of his temple. I think it's ugly, to be all honest. I'm sure I could probably go in there easily with some white paint, and I think I'm probably going to end up doing this. Take a little bit of white paint and just do away with the blood altogether. I think it just, first of all, it looks a little obnoxious on the character, and I think it draws too much attention away of actually how interesting the Ghostface Sidestepper may be. Yeah, if it was just blood, and if it was just splattered in a few little selected areas, it would be one thing, but the way they've got it just trickling down his head, I think is way too busy for my liking. I'm going to see if I can fix that up. Head sculpt wise, it's actually pretty good. Now, I did press the button by accident. The hood, though, is attached on the top, so there's really actually no way to remove the hood. If you were to look at it underneath, though, they've actually sculpted a head sculpt underneath that. And of course, usually is the case, they just put the Ghostface mask over top of it. But there is no way to really remove the hood unless you were to go up there and just sort of pry this. But you can see there's a good dollop of glue on the top of it, really preventing you from doing that. As for the rest of the body, the figure does have his cloak. He does have, of course, the black gloved hands and wielding the knife in his other hand. The other hand is more just like a mauling hand. It would really be an ideal if they had actually found a way to include the little voice box or even a cell phone in his other hand, because it just looks like his hand is meant for something and it doesn't have anything. And then he has himself some fabric booties that cover basically over top of a plastic framed foot. You can't feel this, so you have to kind of take my advice or take my word for this. Basically, this whole section here is plastic, but if you run up the body, like this whole back section is a plastic frame, but his arms are sort of these more spindly parts, because of course all this has to be able to move. By moving it is only involved by pressing this button right here, which again, I've already kind of done that too early. But if you press the button, I guess it cycles what I could imagine to be a good, believable thing for Ghostface. I mean, he doesn't really have like recognizable music. I mean, to be fair, also, Sam didn't really even have recognizable music that they used for his own Sidestepper. But what you're basically getting is kind of just noise, screaming, and then you can kind of hear some ruffling around. But obviously, you probably will want to see what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and press the button here, and Ghostface will move back and forth, sidestepping after all. And he's going to, of course, play the audio as well. Here we go. What I can only imagine, if I'm trying to break down what I'm hearing, at least, I'm sort of hearing like suspenseful thriller music or a soundtrack in the background. Then I'm hearing what I could only imagine to be slashing sounds with the knife, and then a faint muffling of screaming in the background. Is that what you all kind of gathered from the sound that we just heard? You need another example of that? Okay. Pressing the button again. I hear music. I hear screaming. But again, what's the whoosh, 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 whoosh? Is that the slashing of a knife? That's my guess, is at least. Now, if you were to have, say, someone over, like younger nephews, for example, and they're always prone to going up and pressing all the things that you have set out for Halloween, and you're worried that this is just something you're going to get tired of after a while, one good thing, at least, even though it's very not long of a clip at all, is that at any given point, you can also press that button again. That seems to also be the case as well when we looked at the other Sidesteppers. As easily as it is to turn the button, turn it on, it's just as easy to press the button again to turn it off. So again, if you press the button, you can press it off. And I always think that that's a good thing, especially the longer these clips end up being. Now, obviously with the Sidesteppers, they're a lot shorter of a clip, but I've really had some really long experiences waiting for an audio clip to finish and really no way to turn it off unless you actually go and switch this off manually, at least with a button there. I mean, I'm obviously not going to have this always there where it says press on and off. I'll just remember really what side of the figure's body I'm going to be pressing. But I like at least the idea that, first of all, it's not very long. And on top of that, if at any given point somebody's going up and pressing it just randomly, especially if you're working in Spirit Halloween, as great as the idea sounds of, hey, working in Spirit Halloween during Halloween season, you would imagine with the number of things that are always going off in the store, kids going up, pressing the pedals to activate the animatronic characters, kids going up, and I always keep saying kids, adults were doing it too. I'm guilty for that, doing it as well. But adults going up and pressing the things that round and cycle through audio. You imagine working there as a Spirit Halloween clerk, you're probably getting quite tired of the sounds all the time. But at least this one is short, and this one can be at least turned off, and that's always a good thing as well. Bringing in the other Sidesteppers. Now, I did actually pick up one other one that we will be looking at in an upcoming review. That's going to be the Chucky one. They did also do some other ones as well. I think they did a Beetlejuice, they did a Lydia. I think also as well they did a Frankenstein. The ones I was really the most interested in is the ones I'm actually more relating to, is kind of like, again, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, love Trick or Treat, love Scream. So the idea of getting little tiny Sidesteppers that I can have on my mantle. Although if I'm going to be having them on the mantle's only so wide. So I'm probably not going to have these always in an on position, just for the off chance that my daughter goes up and starts pressing these buttons. While they do sidestep only sideways, there's always the risk, of course, that they may side forward and end up falling off the mantle. I would not want to really have that happen. Actually, listening to the music that they decided to use for Ghostface, it sounds more like something I would expect to see or hear, at least, from Camp Crystal Lake. The slashing, so to speak, of what I'm guessing would be the knife sounds actually more like from Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees. I guess that's what they decided to settle on when it came to Scream's Ghostface. I'm trying to think of really what else I would have used. It's not like you could actually have used real music. So, of course, in the background, it's sort of just more like a thriller sound of score. And, of course, you got some screaming and slashing. I guess it's okay. Ideally, it would have been good if they could have found a way to include some audio clips of him saying, like, do you like a scary movie? But I guess that's not really what they're also doing here with the Sidesteppers. It wasn't the case really when we looked at Leatherface. It certainly wasn't the case with Sam. We're sort of getting more just kind of treated to generic music. But I guess it fits okay with Ghostface. What doesn't fit, though, okay with Ghostface is the quite unnecessary blood on the front of his face. Again, where's this wound coming from, and how come no one's tending to poor Ghostface, as it looks like he's bleeding from the top of his head? It is really ugly. It actually comes across more like zebra striping, and it is really the first thing I'm going to do right after this review is actually go in there and find a way to remove the paint. I think if I tried to use a very diluted rubbing alcohol, it probably will just take some of the white paint off instead. So I'm just going to take myself a paintbrush, a little bit of white paint, a little bit of time, I'm going to get rid of that blood altogether. If only there was like a bloodied version and then a clean version of Ghostface, I would have gone more the direction of the cleaner face, because the mask looks okay. It's the blood is the thing that makes it ruins it in a way that definitely needs to be fixed, and I don't know why they decided to go with a bloody version. You can have blood on the knife, that's fine and good, even though the knife is a little gross looking, a weird way they've sculpted the knife, but at least the blood is splattered there. Why wasn't it splattered all across Ghostface's mask? Have you guys been collecting any of the Sidesteppers from Spirit Halloween? If you have, let me know down below in the comment section which ones you guys have picked up. Again, we will also be looking at the Chucky. That's going to be coming up in an upcoming review, but that's where I'm stopping when it comes to Sidesteppers. There were other ones there available as well at Spirit Halloween, but I had little to no interest in getting a Lydia. I was kind of tempted to get a Frankenstein, but I realized I had to stop my obsession somewhere, so I decided only just this year to get Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Leatherface Screams Ghostface, and of course the Child's Play Chucky, which we'll be looking at in an upcoming review. Speaking of reviews, if you guys enjoyed the one that you just finished watching, why not hit with a like? If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you would certainly like to stick around for more, definitely still going to be looking at some more spooky related videos. I know you're kind of looking at the calendar. I'm looking at the calendar right now. Actually, I'm looking at a calendar from last year. But if you were to look at a calendar from this year, you'd realize that Halloween is only just a few days away. Still, though, we're going to push forward because there's still going to be some spooky-related content that I'd really like to get up as close to Halloween as I can. But if it may overlap, well, it may overlap. So there's definitely going to be a lot more content coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.